A watched pot never boils. A watched pot never boils. What does that even mean? A watched pot doesn't boil. So when you watch a pot, it doesn't boil. How are you going to tell me that if I were to watch a pot, it's not going to boil? Of course it's going to boil. Right? So what is the meaning behind a watched pot doesn't boil? For those of you who may be new to the channel, my name is Paolo. I create content on how to grow on social media and also personal development stuff I learn along the way. I like to share it with my audience. So what does it mean to have a watched pot never boils? In the more like literal sense, of course it's going to boil. Like if you watch a pot, maybe after 20 or 30 minutes, it's going to boil, right? But I guess in the figurative sense, the meaning behind this quote is a watched pot never boils. If you were to watch something, it's really testing your patience, right? And you're only doing yourself a disservice by continually watching it. The same could be said about your social media channel, your YouTube channel. I'm speaking to myself when I say this. I continually, every day, check my metrics on my YouTube channel. How many subscribers, how many views, right? Of course, by me creating more content, by me getting better every day, my channel is bound to grow, right? That's just like a given, right? So why am I doing myself a disservice by continually checking the updates and feeling sad when things don't go well and feeling great when things do go well, right? I'm just basically just toying with my own emotions. And the same could be applied to any aspect of life. Let's say, for example, the most literal sense, like you're waiting for your food to cook, you're super hungry, but you need the water to boil. So you stare at the water boiling for a long time, right? The water is going to boil, but what are you doing to yourself by watching the water boil? You're making yourself impatient. You're making yourself uneasy. You're making yourself feel like, why isn't this water boiling faster? Right? And you're really testing yourself. Things happen the way things happen, and you may or may not have the best or the most control over it, right? But they happen regardless, right? You turn on your water so it heats up the boiling water. I mean, you heat up your stove so it heats up the boiling water. That water is going to boil whether you stare at it or not. So the whole sense of, if I stare at the water, it's going to boil faster. But what are you not taking into consideration about every other aspect of your life? Instead of you staring at the water to boil, you could be preparing your veggies or your side dishes, right? Your garnishes for whatever you're going to make, right? And the reason this topic came up to me was I just finished with a job interview today, right? Do I think it went well? I don't know. It was tough. It was definitely tough. It was definitely tough. But the reason I came up with this title was because when I first started applying for jobs, I used to be very tense. I used to be very nervous. I would get so tense to the point I would get super nervous and I never knew what to say. My interviews felt so robotic-like. They felt so like scripted, right? I was never able to portray my personality. I never listened to what the interviewer was saying because I was always in my own head. Essentially, I was watching the water boil, right? And with this interview, of course, I wanted to get the job, right? But with this interview, I took a different approach. Of course, I prepped like an hour and a half before, but the difference in my approach was I was more so just going to be present. I was going to be engaging with the interviewer. I was going to listen, right? So rather than me watching the water boil or me thinking about what I was going to say next, I was enjoying the view, right? While the water was boiling, I was enjoying nature, right? So even though I knew I had to say the most perfect thing in order for me to get this job, which I don't know if I got it, right? I was just enjoying the conversation. I was being present with the interviewer, right? So how does this apply to content creation? Of course, we want to gain as many subscribers as we can. Of course, we want to monetize on YouTube, on Instagram, on all the social media platforms, right? But I've noticed this in myself as well. When we watch the water, the water never boils, or if that's even the title. We never really enjoy life because I'm always checking the metrics. You may be constantly assessing, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working out for me? I'm such a failure. Right? Because you're constantly watching the water boil. Right? Of course, there's a fine line in between that where you want to get better and you want to analyze your metrics. But there's also the other aspect of that where, are you really enjoying life? Right? You're going to succeed on YouTube no matter what. You're going to succeed in monetizing your channel. You're going to succeed in your online business. You're going to succeed in your social media business. There's no doubt about that, right? Because in your head, you've already set that direction. You've already set yourself for that path, right? So to dwell on the negative, to dwell on when things aren't going well for you, it's pointless, right? And I say this contradictory to my own actions because when I post a piece of content and it doesn't do well, I feel bad, right? So I'm speaking this to myself more than I'm speaking it to you. But what I've learned is that life goes on. Life goes on, right? And the more you watch the water, the water will never boil, right? It's basically just testing your patience, looking at how you view things, right? I could stare at my metrics all day on YouTube and I could say, oh my God, this video just needs to do well. It needs to do better, right? But isn't it weird how the more we let go of things, the more we care less, the more things happen? Of course, we have to be intentional, but I think the intention comes from when we set our destination, right? So let's say my goal is to grow my YouTube channel, to monetize on YouTube. I already have that implemented in my head, right? So I'm going to get there no matter what, because every micro decision I make is going to get me one step closer to there, right? And it may be intentional and it may be not intentional, right? Just because of the fact that I have a goal to monetize on YouTube, I'm going to get there, right? And I could dwell in the moment of how I don't have as many subs. I don't have that much engagement. I don't have that many views. I could do that. I could for sure do that. Or I could live my life in a way where it's true to myself and I know that I'm going to monetize on YouTube. I just know, right? And you should know too, right? As long as you set up your systems, right? You're intentional with what you do with your day, right? And you have other aspects of your life that you're currently working on. Okay, if you're a content creator and you're curious about what type of content should I make, my best advice for you would be to live life, to experience life. I'm not saying to be extravagant, to travel around all these places, to fine dine, eat at these expensive, restaurants just to have content. But what I'm saying is that you are the content. Your growth is content, right? And you never know who you're going to be inspiring, right? So the more you look at the water will never boil, or some notion of that is the title of this video, right? Obviously, I'm still on the job hunt, right? And I could dwell on that, right? I haven't found the perfect job yet. I'm nowhere where I want to be in life, right? That's like me constantly staring at the water, waiting for it to boil, right? And just because I'm in that negative state where I don't have a job yet, or I don't have my ideal job yet, or I'm nowhere where I want to be in life yet, right? That's just me staring at the water. And that doesn't even help me at all. Rather than me applying for more jobs, educating myself, or rather than me working on my YouTube, working on my social media businesses, whatever it may be. I'm constantly in that negative state of complaining, of wondering why things aren't working out for me. Because it's easy to be in that state. It's easy, right? But if you're able to understand that things that are meant for you will happen to you, will happen for you, then you're able to live more free. You're able to walk in your own path, because you never know what opportunities will come by you living in your own path, right? They say your vibe attracts your tribe. Of course, if you're not where you want to be in life, you're going to be in a negative state. So who are you going to attract? You're going to attract people that are negative, right? People that don't have a positive outlook on life, people that aren't doing anything to get better, right? But if you change your perspective, if you don't wait for the water to boil, right? If you go out there, make things happen for yourself, create opportunities for yourself, develop the skills you need, right? Things will happen for you, right? So stay positive, because the universe, higher power, has something planned for you, right? We try to micromanage everything. And when I say we, I say me, because I try to micromanage everything, and that's completely normal, right? And when I say this about myself, I'm also saying it to you, right? Have faith that things will work out for you, right? But of course, take the proper measures to do so, right? Like work hard, take all the opportunities given to you, be healthy, exercise, right? Sleep. I need to work on my sleep. But control what you can control, and things will come to you, right? Manifest, attract, don't chase, And I think it all stems from this whole idea of, if you watch, I don't remember the title anymore, something about like water not boiling, but it was pretty good though. Not gonna lie, I don't remember the title exactly, but like it's like, if you stare at if you wait for the water to boil, the water will never boil, or something like that. Basically the same idea, right? And I also think a big factor of why we do this to ourselves, why we become anxious, is because, not gonna lie, because of social media, how we compare ourselves to others, right? We may see someone living the life we want to live, and then we want to strive towards that life, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But I think if things don't immediately happen the way we want them to, we become impatient. If the water doesn't boil fast enough, we become impatient, right? Little do we realize, for YouTube, for example, it may take 10 years before you see any type of success. 10 years of creating content and not succeeding, right? So you have to ask yourself, if you're creating content right now, is this something that you genuinely enjoy? The way I use creating content for myself is it's a way for me to really challenge myself, stay accountable, and become the best version of myself. This topic is something that I don't know if I'd even consider like thinking about if it wasn't for simply the fact that I had to create content about it, right? I force myself to create content, a piece of content, long form, every day, because it forces me to work on myself every day, right? And you as a viewer currently watching this, it may not be the most scripted video, it may not be the most perfectly edited video, but it's the truth from my perspective, from my reality, right? And your reality is different. But I encourage you to share your reality. I encourage you to share what you learn, because it's the greatest form of personal development, right? That's why my whole channel is associated with like social media growth, content creation, and personal development, because they go hand in hand, right? People think creating content is the best edited content. It's the best scripted content. Maybe it is, and I'm not there yet. Right? But I also think, in terms of a value sense, good content, good content impacts people. Good content challenges reality. Good content really makes you think, right? And I know the way I'm presenting this content isn't the best. I know that maybe if it was scripted better, maybe if it wasn't just me thinking off the top of my head what to say, it would be better, right? But the reason I create content like this, number one, is because it really forces me to think. Like I set a requirement for myself to speak a certain time period about a topic. And the fact that you're here watching it, listening to what I'm saying, is actually pretty remarkable to me, right? But this comes throughout time. This comes from me not watching the water boil, because I know it's gonna boil. Like just like how I know my YouTube channel is gonna grow. I'm gonna monetize it, right? But I don't try to, you know, work on the minuscule, micromanage everything. Just like how it comes to like applying for these jobs, right? I used to think I had to perfect everything, where in reality, maybe my perception of perfection isn't what the hiring manager is even looking for. Maybe what the hiring manager is looking for is me. Just me being me. My flaws, my imperfections, what I need to work on. Right? So watching the water boil won't make it boil faster. I don't know if that's a title, but it's just the general theme of this content. There's so much in life that we wish to accomplish. But at the end of the day, we all go to the same place. You know, when our time comes, knock on wood, we all go to the same place. Our time here is finite. So how do we make the most of it? Of course, we want to achieve our goals. Of course, we want to succeed. But if all you're doing is watching the water boil, the water will never boil. But of course, literally, it's going to boil, right? But the whole figurative sense that the more that you watch your metrics on YouTube, it isn't going to help you grow on YouTube. I mean, okay, maybe it will, because you're going to learn about the metrics. But what I'm trying to say is that if the whole idea for YouTube is to create great content, staring at your metrics, maybe it will, because you're gonna learn about what's working and what's not working for you. I guess I should probably rephrase that. I think currently like refreshing your metrics to see if they change won't help you, because you're just waiting for like that hit of dopamine. For me, it's like every time I get a new subscriber, I get happy. But whether I get a subscriber or not doesn't help me create better content. As crazy as that may seem, it may make me feel good, you know, but it doesn't help me create better content. Just as though, like, if I were to watch the water boil, the water's never going to boil. Right? So life is best lived now. Right? Try your best every day. Give it your all every day. And don't take time for granted. Time is finite. But we all have the same 24 hours per day. If you're able to maximize your 24 hours, good things will happen to you. You know? And if things don't work out for you, it's okay. Because maybe it wasn't meant for you. Maybe your path is higher. Maybe your path is greater. Right? So take advantage of that. Become the best version of yourself. Because you owe you at the end of the day. You don't owe anyone else but you. Right? So don't wait for the water to boil, because it's never going to boil. Right? Enjoy life. You know? Because life is best lived when you're living it, not waiting for the water to boil. As a content creator, you come with your best content ideas when you're living life. Right? Because you learn, you experience, you get better. And that's all anyone can really want in life. And I know it isn't really easy to say. It may sound like a whole bunch of nonsense what I'm saying. Probably is. But I challenge you to really take in consideration what I'm saying. Like I said, I don't know how this is going to impact you, because this is all kinds of stuff I'm rambling about. But I feel like there is some sense to it. You know, things work out the way they're meant to work out. And you shouldn't feel bad because what you thought was going to work out a certain way doesn't work out a certain way. Right? Just keep moving forward. You know, trust the process. Trust the plan that was meant for you. And you're going to look back at it and say, wow, why was I ever even worried? Why did I spend my time waiting for the water to boil? And that's like, honestly, like not the best place to be, because what comes with that is regret. Right? So if you made it to this part of the video, I thank you, of course. go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more content. I pretty much post how to grow on social media and how to use content creation for personal development. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.